congratulations on the movie, and welcome back to London.
Thank you.
Your home country, your hometown. What's it like being back here and sort of, with this movie?
It's interesting being back here with this movie. It's very interesting. Most often when I come back here, it's work related, and this is an interesting manifestation of my work. So it's been interesting to be back here in this context.
I don't know if you've seen, but this movie is getting rave reviews everywhere. And how does that make you feel, being part of it?
I haven't seen any reviews. I have heard that the reviews have been raves, and that is incredibly gratifying. But I haven't seen any. I haven't read any myself.
Yeah. When you get like a call from Ryan saying we're doing this, and he gives you the twist, which we're not going to reveal because it's best to leave it as it is. And how did you feel about sort of being in a movie like that? That's partly very sort of race related, and also like a sort of a horror.
Race, culture, horror genre, historical. No, I felt good. I mean, because from the first time that I read the script, I plugged into what I felt was a much larger narrative that he is telling with this film. So I felt good to jump in and be part of that journey.
Are you at all a fan of the horror genre?
No.
You're not? So what was it about you? What is it about that genre in particular that doesn't really usually appeal to you, where you said yes to this?
I said yes to this because of the prospect of playing Delta Slim. Interesting human being, the music, getting the opportunity to investigate the music and the musicality of this man, getting the opportunity to investigate the history, the genesis of the music. All of that interested the hell out of me.
Can we talk about your performances? Were you sort of coached in how to play the harmonica? Because the first time we meet you,
yes,
you're playing harmonica solo. Was that you playing, or was that?
I'll never tell. Did you think it was me playing?
I thought it was you. Yes.
Rock and roll. That's all that counts. But to your question, yeah, I had a number of sessions with a couple of harmonica players in technique. So the answer is yes, I did communicate with some harp players.
A lot goes on in this movie, and
Indeed.
Some of it is very physical. How did you deal with that side of it? Because, delivering lines is very different from actually being in an action movie. What was it like?
You know what? We shot in New Orleans, and I arrived in New Orleans a few weeks after the various actors had gotten there, because I had been working on something else. And I remember the very first, they were choreographing the fights. And I remember going and watching what they had been working on. And when I got there, they had already been working so intently and so intensely that a lot of the choreography was worked out. And I was impressed. I was impressed as hell with that. Why was I impressed? Just because of the seriousness. And I wouldn't expect anything else, but it was clear to me that a lot of attention, you talk about somebody mentioned attention to detail, a lot of attention to detail was being emphasized with this kind of scene that would end up being climatic in the narrative. They paid a lot of attention to it. I'll tell you what else they paid a lot of attention to. You've seen the film, a lot of the audience has not, but any physical activity in this film, Andy, and I don't know Andy's I've forgotten Andy's last name, the fight choreographer, there was always a real attention to detail, a real attention to safety first and foremost. Actors always appreciate that, because it gives you a confidence that you're working with people who know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. Were you at all interested, because what the film gets absolutely perfectly right is the historical sort of setting of it. Was there any temptation for you to go back and like read up on what people would have dressed like, how they would have spoken then?
It's what people would have dressed like and how they would have spoken. Those two things right there. The first thing that I did in prepping for this film, Ryan sent me 2 books. A book called Blues People, and have you read it?
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah, great book. And a book about blues written by Amiri Baraka. He was called Leroy Jones when he wrote the book. I read those 2 books. I also listened to a lot of music. Son House, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, a lot of musicians who come out of that tradition. I listened to a lot of documentary films, people from the region just talking about their lives. So I try to immerse myself in those worlds in order to give myself a grounding in the film.
Having been immersed in all of that world for such a long time whilst filming, have you taken anything away from it into your daily life? Have you become a huge fan of that genre of music?
I'm a much more appreciative fan of that genre of music. I'm also really appreciative of the history and the prodigious history of that music, and the brilliance of it, the depth. So I'm much more appreciative of the history of that whole genre of music at this point.
Now that you've worked with Ryan, next time he calls, will you say yes straight away?
Probably.
without even having read the script?
Probably. And I hope he does call again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again. Absolutely loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!